You're listening to the Born and Bred podcast.
Available now on all streaming platforms. This episode is kindly sponsored by our friends at Born and Bred. They are the sellers of some of Belfast's finest gifts. You can find them either at their wee shop in Belfast city centre or on their website wearebornandbred.com.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Born and Bred podcast. Today's guest is someone who Caragh and I have been huge fans of for quite a while, so we're absolutely delighted to have Ryan McMullan on today's show.
Ryan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for coming.
Like Simone said, we're both
Thanks for having me. I haven't done
Big
anything in
fans.
so long that I'm saying thanks for coming.
No, we're genuinely so happy to have you here. First time didn't work out 100% because you had to go and do a wedding. Is that right?
Yeah. It was, can you do the Wednesday? I was like, yep, Wednesday sounds good. The day before, I was like, I'm at a wedding tomorrow. I'm really bad at planning things. But listen, we're here now, which is good. I would have been gutted if this had went out and I didn't get to be involved in it. So happy days.
Class. Well, it is called the Born and Bred podcast. So we kind of wanted to start off with that theme about your born and bred story,
Right.
where you came from, where it all sort of started for you. So take us back to where you were
the
born
beginning.
and bred. Yeah.
I'm from Portaferry in County Down. And it's a beautiful seaside town. Everybody knows your name. Everybody knows your business.
One of them.
One of them ones. But a great place to grow up. And, I was there over Christmas. And it's always great to go home. And I think Christmas is a great time to go home because everybody goes home at Christmas.
Yeah.
So you get to catch up properly. Whereas, you could go in a random weekend in September and it would just be you and the bartender, It's,
Yeah.
But, Portaferry was great to grow up in. And it's kind of where I started playing music. The local bars, Fiddler's Green, and my dad, he would sing in the corner, and then whenever I wanted to play, he would sort of introduce me, and then all of a sudden I joined a band to get, like, not my dad and I, but my friends and I would created a band and just played around the town doing all Snow Patrol songs and the Killers
covers,
songs, pretty much the entire set, because at that time it was the Killers, Snow Patrol, and Kings of Leon were the three biggest bands. So it was just their sets. That was our gig,
Yeah.
And then I kind of got bored of that because I don't know if everybody feels this way, but I felt like every time I went to like a house party, it was like, "Did you bring your guitar?" And it was like, so I just kind of.
We literally just did that to him before he said that.
yeah. But and then I went to, this is a arse about face way of talking about where I'm from, but then I went to Australia to just kind of get away from it all.
Yeah.
Came home, went to
What age
university.
were you at this point?
That was me at 19.
Okay.
Went to Australia, came home, went to university, went to a Foy Vance gig in America, and then came home, and then he offered me a tour, and then that was kind of how music started. So it was, sort of arse about face way of explaining where I'm from.
Yeah.
So was it always music for you? Like, is that...
No,
you-
sports was my thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I played hurling growing up flat out, and I played soccer when I was 9. I was scouted by Middlesbrough.
Stop.
No way.
Yeah, but my mum wouldn't let me go.
Seriously?
Yeah, she was like, no, like, that's another island.
So you were decent then?
Well, at 9, I was...
Right,
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't get any better after 9.
Right.
Like, it's probably for the best I didn't go for that.
I didn't even realise Middlesbrough looked in Portaferry for players.
How random?
know.
Like, how did that
I
happen?
think because we used to it always kind of happened with young Portaferry boys because you would have played in, I forget what the league is, I'm going to call it the Downpatrick League.
Yeah.
But you would have played against the likes of Newcastle, Downpatrick,
Right,
all them
okay,
ones.
yeah.
So there would have been random scouts, but it would have just been throw as much as you can and see what sticks.
Yeah.
I think the year that I get asked by Middlesbrough, there's like 4 boys in the same team get invited to like West Ham and Arsenal and stuff like that. It was just a young
Right,
thing.
yeah.
And did they go, those boys?
No, nobody sort of went.
went?
The only one I know was a guy who could have really made it. He was unbelievable. It was West Ham he got scouted for, but the night before, but this was when he was 16, so it was like a proper trial. But the night before, him and whoever was on the trial with him just went out and got blocked and didn't turn up to the trial in the end. But he was a great footballer. And then I stopped playing at like 18 because I hurt my back.
Okay.
Not football, hurling. I hurt my back, and then I was like, you just couldn't keep up to the pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you kept trying to come back, but you could never really. And then sure, I started playing in the bars and drinking, and that became priority. You know, rehab wasn't a priority.
Yeah.
And then just started music again. But I've started playing hurling again for East Belfast.
Oh, class.
Which is, it's class. Like it happened during the pandemic. And
they set that up, didn't they? Like it had been only started because they didn't have anything in that community for like GAA and
it started
and stuff.
It started as a tweet, and then it just spiraled.
Developed. That's class.
But imagine like waking up, and now Dave probably didn't do this, but imagine waking up sort of hungover after a night, going, "I'm gonna," and tweeting something, and then it blowing up, and then he's going, "Oh shit, I have to follow
carry on
this." But it's good, and pre-season has started, which is good for the the Christmas bloat.
Yeah.
And how's the back now?
I don't have to do much. It's it's a bunch of for me anyway. It's like my peer group is a bunch of 30-year-olds that are just buzzing to be hitting the ball about.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. But no, I sports was always my thing growing up. I mean, it still kind of is. And until I start like touring again and writing songs again, I can't really say I'm a musician right now. So,
Right. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So whenever you're a kid then in school, like, if someone asked you, what did you want to be, what would you have said?
Oh yeah, like a hurley player.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, my dream was always to play in Croke Park, and I got to, but it was as a musician. So it's kind of like a bittersweet. It's like I'm playing here, and it was horrible. It was an amazing experience, but a horrible experience because I'd played Custom House Square for the first time the night before, but I just flew. Okay, I changed. Okay, so I was on tour with Snow Patrol. We were in Australia. John McDade had neck surgery, so I was playing piano for Snow Patrol. So the night, say it was a Thursday night, we were playing the Grand Opera House in Sydney.
Yeah.
The Friday, I was back home in Belfast to do a rehearsal. The gig was the Saturday. The Sunday was Croke Park, and then the Monday I flew and did a gig in China.
Cheapers.
So I can't really, that gig I can't remember, but the Croke Park one, I was so buzzing the night before because it was like a headline Custom House Square. And I just celebrated after pretty hard. And then
I can imagine,
the day after, it was an early rise. And then on the way down to Croke Park, I was like, does anybody have my guitar? Like, well, no, you should probably have that, Ryan. I don't have the guitar. So we're driving down, and I've just texted everybody I know from Dublin being like, have you a guitar? Can I borrow it? And Danny from the Coronas, he actually sent one in a taxi to Croke Park for me. And as we were doing the sound check, the weather was fine. And as soon as half time came and I had to go on, it was lashing.
Of course.
And I went to play the guitar and the battery died because it got wet.
Oh my word.
And then they had to run out with this microphone and pointed it at it and just like
No.
hit the guitar. And I was just like, this was not what I envisaged my experience of Croke Park was ever going to be. But it was, it's still pretty cool. But yeah, I just wish I had got to play sports in it,
Yeah.
So you started playing, you were playing music from a very young age then, picked up guitar and piano. Were they your two?
Piano came quite late. I mean, guitar came quite late too. My dad was always playing in the house, and then I think I picked it up at like 14, but I think from his words, I picked it up pretty quick. So it was just one of them things. And then the guys that became part of the band, it was like we were sitting probably playing FIFA or something like that, and one of us was playing the guitar, and then I was like, oh, I play guitar too. And then another friend was like, I play drums. And then we just looked at a friend, the last friend, and went, do you want to learn bass? And, he was like, yeah. And that was kind of the beginning of the band stuff.
What was this band? Did it have a name?
Yeah, it was called Purple Road. And we were massive in Portaferry.
Yeah.
Class.
But nowhere else knew of us. But, okay, it was really good crack, but it was just, we used to drink so much, and it was just a bit of crack. But piano didn't come till about 6 years ago, where we were renting a house in Caragh, and it just had a piano in it. So I just started playing it because it was there. And then when you're playing it, you sort of write on it, and then you have to sort of do that on the stage.
Yeah.
So for about a year, I completely fooled people to believing that I could play a piano.
So you
But
were self-taught when it came to piano?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
same with guitar.
Same with guitar?
Yeah.
I'd hate to be my music teacher.
Mm.
I'm just so impatient, you know. It's like they'd be teaching me the theory that will help me at the start or at the end, but I was too busy just learning songs.
Yeah.
Just
So,
hearing it and just
yeah,
playing
just
by
playing
ear.
along. So, yeah, I'd hate to have. I'd actually have hated to be a teacher for me in period. I was just a terrible student.
Where did you go to school?
Downpatrick, St. Pat's in Downpatrick,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great too. But like even we had a chemistry teacher, Mr. Caragh, and it was just that kind of thing. If you sit in the back corner and don't do anybody else, like don't do homework for other classes, I won't involve you in the class. And I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
just
what
don't
you
bother
want.
me.
You
Sleep,
see in the
yeah,
headphones and just
100%.
sat there grooving to
Yeah.
whatever chemistry he was talking.
Oh, brilliant. So then in terms of like when did it really start for you then? You know, as Ryan McMullan? Like, is there a point in your life where you're like, this is when it started to get serious?
Yeah, I think so. I did civil engineering at university, but you know the way you do like a year of placement.
Yeah.
So mine was in Washington DC, and
Nice.
there was a load of us actually went. There was 6 or 8 of us went over, but a lot of them fellas were more into like dance music and stuff like that. So we went to like a Creamfields and stuff like that. you
Oh
know.
yeah, okay.
But I saw that Foy was playing, and I was like, I've went to all your gigs. We're going to this gig.
yeah.
And they all love Foy now. You know, that gig, it was an unbelievable gig. But Foy, his dressing room was basically a tiny wee room and a toilet. So I just recognised Lee, who's, you know, Lee. Nobody else will know Lee, but Lee Mitchell was there, and I just went over and handed him a whiskey to be like, here, that's for Foy from home. And he was like, where are you from? Stick around after, and then we get chatting. And then Foy asked me to sing a song, and I sang Fast Car, and he got pretty bored because he was like, no, sing me one of yours. And I was like, I don't really have anything. And then he went, right, well, then just put the guitar down, because if you've nothing to say, I don't want to hear it. And I was just like, but in like a kind way.
Yes,
wasn't
yeah.
And then that kind of, you know, sat with me. I was like, oh, I just met like one of my heroes, and he asked me what I have to say, and I had nothing to say. So at that point, I came home and thought, I'm going to make an EP. I don't know how to do it. I don't really know how to write, but we'll just try it and see.
And writing wasn't something that had ever kind of
Just-
crossed your mind before? Or?
With that band, with Purple Road, we'd written a few things, but when there's 4 people doing it, it's a bit less pressure, and also we weren't really writing about anything.
Meaningful.
Significant?
Yeah, you know, it was
yeah.
just, what did they write? Okay, let's write that again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then did this EP, and I did a sort of EP launch through, it was this festival thing called Belnash, which is like Belfast, Nashville are sister cities. So they send Nashville singers over and all that kind of stuff. And I did this gig and it sold out, and then I found out that Foy was there. And then he invited me to go to his house in Aberfeldy and write a song. And then we wrote Oh Susanna. And then that was kind of it. He was like, you're coming on tour with me. And I was like, okay.
Brilliant.
And then was on tour with him, and then Ed came to a show, and then Ed went, you're coming on tour with me. And then all of a sudden I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, before you know it,
Yeah.
then you're on tour with Ed, yeah.
And then it was just like, all right, let's just do this, see how long it lasts, because it won't last forever. And then you've always got civil engineering to go back to.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going. So
Brilliant.
I'd hate somebody to book me now as a civil engineer. I'd be better as an audio engineer.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you got that degree finished out, but then you were just like, well, I'm away here. And
Yeah, like I didn't even go to the ceremony because I was on
Yeah,
tour.
you were touring.
Where did you go to uni?
Jordanstown.
Oh, okay. Wow, imagine like starting that degree and then like where you ended up going in the
Yeah.
middle of it. That's
But there's loads of people, not even just in the music business, but like I have a friend who did social studies as a degree, and he's now an accountant. It's kind of like,
no one actually
No
uses
one
a
no
knows.
one
degree.
knows
Yeah.
at that point.
I just went to uni for the crack, to be
Yeah.
honest, like completely.
I just didn't want to miss out in the crack. That was pretty much
I
it.
felt like in that period of my life, it's like you have to just go and do it, meet people and whatever, and it just gave me an excuse to live in England, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and pursue a dream of
Well, of being a footballer.
It
like,
was just a
but-
means to an end
Yeah,
at that
so-
point.
Where did you go?
I went to Edgehill Uni, just outside Liverpool.
Oh, right, okay.
Signed for Everton, and then
Yeah.
it was kind of like that helped me live there.
Right.
Because it wasn't pro.
Right.
So then obviously played for Everton and kind of did university in the background sort
What
of
did
thing.
you study?
Coaching.
All right,
Like,
well,
just
at least
the sports. It was
yeah, yeah.
somewhat relevant, like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't really use it now. I mean, I'm technically still studying. I'm doing a PhD.
Right.
Don't ask me why, honestly.
Here we are 10 years
No,
down the line.
I am still going. It's been about 5 years, but it's just one of them things. Like, I just literally, I didn't plan on going to uni to study, like, and get a degree to have a job. It was like, I want to be a footballer, and this helps me live in England. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you just do it that way, you know.
Yeah.
But
Whatever it takes.
wow,
Yeah.
that's it, pretty much. So
And did people know at the time, like at uni, like what you were doing, and you know that you're going off and touring with like Boy Vance and Ed Sheeran, or was that?
Just that close group of fellas that went to America. But at the same time, like every weekend I was playing like 10 or 12 cover gigs. You
Yeah,
know,
just
you do
locally.
3 on a Thursday, 3 on a Friday, 4 on a Saturday, and then 2 on a Sunday. And then Monday I just wouldn't go in. And to
Yeah.
be fair to them fellas, they used to like do my notes for me. So they would hand it to me, and then whenever it came to studying, because Mondays was just a complete write-off. And I'm pretty sure Monday was like a 9 to 5. No, uni is like 2 hours here, 4
Oh,
hours
aye.
here.
Yeah,
It's a
big
breeze,
break
like.
in between.
Monday was like 9 to 5 kind of
back
day.
to back.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
Yeah.
never went in because I was just wrecked. So them boys got me my degree pretty much.
Yeah,
I went in and I
aye.
sat it, like, but
Yeah, they
without
done all
them,
the-
I was beat. Yeah.
Unreal, class. So, like, whenever you went to then write that song with Foy, like, what's that process like, writing a song?
At the minute, I couldn't tell you. I'm at this point where it's like, okay, like you've been off for a bit, and it's time to start writing. Because I'd like to, you know, I'm going to release an album this year, but I'd like to have another one ready to, at least, if I don't release the first single of it by the end of the year,
Yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
it to be next year. And now that I've said that out loud, I have to hold myself accountable to it.
We can cut that out if you
Yeah.
want, if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, in a year I'll be like, here, can you just edit that
Edit
and then
that,
upload it? So it's still a mystery to me, and I think that's kind of why I find it so like I'm so drawn to it, because it's kind of like a magic trick. You're like, wow, and then you figure out how it's done. You're like, oh, I don't really care about that anymore because I know how it's done.
Right, okay, yeah.
So that's kind of my perception of songwriting. I have no idea how it's done, but I'm fascinated by it. But with that time, I think at the time I was just in awe that I was, you know, in Foy's house with him, because
Yeah.
before I knew him, I mean, I'm still such a huge fan, but before I knew him, I was a huge fan. So it was kind of like really starstruck.
Yeah.
Also, what am I bringing to the table here to this guy who's
Yeah.
like an incredible songwriter, and me who's written 5 songs at this point. And then I remember we had a few drinks, and he was like, "I have a new song coming out. Do you want to hear it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he played "She Burns," just him and an
Oh my
acoustic.
goodness.
Unreal.
This was
yeah.
like 2 years or at least 18 months before it came out. And I was just like, oh, cool. Like, I just didn't get it, you know?
Yeah.
And then I was like, can you play, what was the song? Starry, Starry Night. I don't even know. I was just clearly drunk and wanting him to play that song and nervous. I was like, he just played you the full She Burns, and you just wanted him to sing
Something else.
Vincent, you know? So it was kind of mad. But it was such an important sort of moment, because that's whenever he went, what do you want to do? Do you want to do this? Because if you do want to do it, let's get you a manager. Let's get the ball rolling. I can take you on a tour. Do you want to do this? I was like, yeah. But my degree doesn't finish till September because I postponed it, you know, the dissertation.
Yeah.
I want to say I postponed it for like good things, but I just wasn't ready to hand it in. So I was
Yeah.
like,
You
can I do
needed
it
an
in September?
extension, yeah.
So I got that done, and then he took me on tour in October, November. And then Ed took me on tour the following March. So, yeah. But in regards to songwriting, I've no idea, and I really need to figure it out. I need to figure it out again to, you know, keep this train rolling, because if I don't, yeah, I'll maybe do a master's and finance and do civil engineering again.
That is it. Like, masters is just kind of postpone reality for a little while,
Yeah.
where like I don't know what I want to
Yeah.
do next, so I'll do a masters and
Yeah.
keep
I mean,
this student life going.
nothing wrong with doing a master's. I
No,
mean,
there's not. But in my head right now, it would be that kind of like, oh, okay, you're pursuing. No, I'm just wasting time until I
Yeah.
figure something else out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
And like we were talking about before, when it comes to songwriting, like how you know, it can't be it can't be something that's just forced. But at the end of the day, you still have a deadline, obviously, to meet. And then, you know, how does that work? Of like, they want you to release an album by X time, and you're like, well, I'm not ready yet because I don't have anything, and I'm not happy. You know,
I'm not
to put this
inspired
out.
to like, you know, I don't want to just.
It's that kind of thing of you do set your own deadlines, but that can also be a problem because you can just keep pushing it.
Yeah.
But in terms of the creative thing, for me, absolutely, it's like for the album, I hadn't written a song in over a year, and then I wrote 7 songs in like 4 days, and like 6 of them made the album. You know, it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like with the creative thing, you just have to be ready and prepared for when it does hit. I think this is just my experience. There's definitely other people out there who would have it different, but the way I see it is in sort of similar terms of like you do drills so that when it comes to the match, it's sort of you're prepared.
Yeah.
So even if you're not being really creative, if you're still doing it, it's just like a drill. You know, you're just drilling it in so that you know how to do the next part and whatever. Which is kind of where I'm at the minute. I'm in the drills sort of stage of just, I've just got a studio built in my garden and I'm buzzing about it.
Class. Yeah.
But it's finished and I don't really have any more excuses of like, oh, I'll start once the studio's finished.
Yeah.
It's finished, so I have to start. So it's that thing of like setting up the mics and just making sure that I know how everything runs so that whenever, hopefully today, whenever I go home, it strikes.
Be inspired
and it's
by
like,
the
oh
podcast.
yeah, no, I know exactly how all this works. But yeah, that's the creative process is still such a mystery.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's why I'm fascinated by the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
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 I wonder if it's something that like, do you think it's something everybody can do and has in them, or is it? Yeah.
I think it's being confident enough to just go for it, and also being vulnerable enough to let it happen. Because I know some people that are pretty decent singers, but couldn't sing in front of people, you know, and it's like you're afraid to be vulnerable because you know, especially where we're from, it's very easy for people to go get back in your box. You know?
Well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the vulnerability is just as tough as the confidence.
Yeah.
I think it's the same as us when we play.
Yeah.
Like, you know, going out in front of people.
Yeah.
And people are just, you know, they can just ridicule you if you don't do anything right. It's probably exactly the same for you. And especially, like, what was it like when you went from, like, tiny crowds and then you're on tour with these superstars? Like, what's that like?
It was just, I don't even know how to describe it because I played in New York to 40 people. And I think that was like a Monday it was a Friday, but then I flew to Italy and on the Monday played to 18,000 people. And the 40 people gig was much harder because you can see all the faces.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas on a big stage like that, you can barely see the end of the stage. And if you're lucky, you'll see the first row. And yeah, it was just kind of, it was the first time I'd used in-ear monitors. So normally I would just have a monitor. And I'd never done that before. And then the first night I absolutely nailed it. I was like, oh, this is easy. Second night, fucking horrendous.
Really?
Like, bombed, couldn't, like, missed all my cues and stuff. It was really bad. But everything about it was just mental because, like, even we would go and do merch afterwards. And I can remember the gig in Glasgow where they were going to charge us like 20% of what we made, which is just a thing at the minute that venues are doing. I don't really understand it, but it is what it is. And my manager just went, if we just pull the van outside and sell out there, do we still have to pay you? And the guy, fair play to him, went, no.
Class.
So we pulled the van up. I just remember this queue of like 400 people and just standing there. And it's Glasgow, it's always freezing.
Yeah.
I've never been there. Even in the summer, I've never been there and thought, oh, warm
here.
Stand there freezing and shaking people's hands, taking photos, signing things. And that was where the work was on that tour because the gig was 25 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
It was no time. But you'd stand for 2 hours after the gig doing this kind of stuff.
And that's it. Once you start doing it once, you've got to do it for everyone.
But that was kind of how we made money on the tour, you know,
Yeah.
like to do the tour, because doing something like that, I think people maybe think you get paid loads of money, but you don't. You have to really like do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it costs so much money to actually do the traveling and stuff.
Yeah.
So every night it was a necessity to go and sell that sort of merch.
Yeah.
But yeah, just different. And then there was one time Ed shared a video of me, and I didn't have notifications turned off on my phone at that point because I didn't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't turn my phone on for 3 days because of the notifications.
Pinging and
There was like
hectic.
400,000 notifications. Like it wouldn't.
Oh, I can't even
It just
imagine.
wouldn't
Yeah.
stop. I couldn't even turn the phone off at one point
Yeah.
because it wouldn't let me do that.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was mental.
Wow.
But just class too. Like whenever I look back on it now,
Oh
it's
God,
like
yeah.
I literally got to do the dream on my second tour
Yeah.
ever. Which
It just
is
went from 0 to 100 for you then
pretty
very
fast,
quickly. Yeah.
And then that was kind of all I knew for like 5 years. It was just tour.
Yeah.
And then
And then COVID hit.
happened, and you get home and you're left with your thoughts, and you sober up, and
Yeah.
you're kind of like, what the fuck have I done for 5 years? You know, how do I do that again? Can I do that again? Yeah, mad.
And at that point, did you sort of think like, is this gonna be as big whenever I go back? Was there like a bit of a fear of like I could just be forgotten about kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, the whole industry changed. Like, I mean, whenever you could do online gigs, everything kind of changed. And, you know, whenever we were coming back, it was that thing of what size of venues do we do here? But the tour coming back was a huge success. Like, we called it the Margarita Tour because we drank margaritas every day. It was like, yeah, look at us, we're back on tour. Let's celebrate with margaritas every day. Whew, a lot of drink, but that tour was a huge success. Like 2 nights at the waterfront. I never thought I'd ever get to do something
Stuff
that
like
big,
that.
you
Yeah.
know. But that was kind of the sort of reintroduction. So I think everybody was excited. And then we're kind of at a point now where everybody's touring at the same time. And it's like, you can't even get a venue in certain cities because everybody's playing. And bigger artists are doing smaller venues just to tour, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of still in a fluctuation mode, and I'm kind of looking forward to whenever it settles again, you know. Because there's nothing worse than booking a room and realizing that you're on the same night as like Taylor Swift and Shawn Mendes and like somebody like 3 massive artists, and you're going, oh, I've only sold this amount of why? Oh, right, yeah, because everybody's away to the bigger shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to go back again now to see where the land lies.
Yeah.
And then because I've taken time off, it's that thing of like, does anybody give a shit? You know,
Yeah.
which is where the songwriting comes in. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's all relevant, I guess.
Yeah.
And are you excited to get back out there?
Yeah, I think I'll be more excited once music starts coming because the thought of touring. I mean, I've still got the album to tour. I'm excited to do that.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of always have to think 2 steps ahead, and it's all well and good to tour this album, but if you've nothing to follow it up with, it's kind of like doing a sprint.
Yeah.
You're done, and
Yeah.
then what do you do? So I am excited, but touring's tough. Like,
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
I did a tour last April. Sorry, that coffee has me wired. I did a tour last April, and it was 8 weeks long. And the people I was on tour with, a band called Lark and Poe, they're unbelievable. They're class. They were nothing but nice, accommodating in every way possible. But 8 weeks is far too long.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I like to tour and not drink, but as soon as I start drinking,
That's it. Then.
I'm afraid to stop.
Yeah.
Because I have it in my head that, if you stop, your body will think that you're going to, you know, you've stopped, therefore you can afford to get sick. I don't even understand the logic in this, but that was something that just get into my head of like, just keep drinking, just ride it out. And, you know, whenever you try and get as far as you can, but whenever it's like week 2 and you're already drinking
Dying.
like a bottle of wine a day,
Oh,
you're kind of
wow,
like,
yeah.
oh, fuck, I've 6 more weeks of this. So, but I mean, touring is amazing, but it's much better in smaller doses. So
Yeah, I
I'm going to
bet.
try and make it where it's like 3 weeks maximum. But that's kind of the sweet spot. 3 weeks is kind of nice. You can enjoy it and not lose your mind.
Yeah.
But it is such a strange way of living, like eating on like, the only time you really stop to eat food is whenever you stop to get fuel.
Fuel.
You know,
You're
and
like
it's
living
all-
out of a car.
Man, Germany is the worst place for, you know, like food out of like a garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just stale bread and cheese. Like, there's nothing, or else like a salad that you're looking at going, no. So
Don't want
we
to
ended
that.
up just doing loads and loads of McDonald's, which doesn't really
Oh,
help
that doesn't
either.
help.
No.
No, goodness me.
And then we were going to start like an Instagram page called Rating Ronald.
Right.
And if we did, I'm telling you now, Spain wins, hands down. I
It's
don't
got
know
the best
why.
Really?
McDonald's.
Man, it was...
What's so different
I
about
have
it?
no idea. The lettuce was fresh, that was the start.
Oh, right,
The
okay.
meat was like meat.
Like proper meat?
Yeah, like real meat.
Oh, well.
And like the burger bun was like fresh.
Did it just
Yeah.
feel healthier or something?
It just felt like you're eating like a substantial meal. You know, if you eat McDonald's, like 40 minutes later, you're hungry, you know.
Yeah.
This felt like a substantial meal, and then we were
I'm
like,
glad that's not just me. I thought it was like I'm a real starvo here. Like whenever I eat a McDonald's, I'm like I'm not even full.
yeah.
But that's okay. It's not.
No,
it's
it's
not just
definitely a
me.
thing. It's
You
full of air.
actually eat McDonald's? That's an exclusive right there.
Do you just have to look at? I suppose you do. Like, but do you ever get told off for like your like eating and stuff?
Yeah, we get like monitored, but it's just more self accountability
Yeah.
to kind of be like so. Like the other day, I got fat testing. Well, maybe not the correct terminology, but like
Body
body
composition.
composition. And then it's just like polite conversations, you know, if you're above or
Yeah.
wherever, and it's kind of like, right, cut out the McDonald's if that's
Yeah, what you're at.
Yeah.
or the Guinness or you
Yeah.
know whatever
Oh.
it is. But okay, it's just trying to be accountable because obviously it's a performance based
Yeah, yeah.
industry. You know, I suppose in some ways the same as you, like constantly having to perform. You know, there's no let up. You know,
I
there's-
don't have accountability though. I'd
But
love,
that's
I'd
the
love
difference,
accountability.
yeah.
Maybe don't drink tonight. Shut up.
But then that's the industry you're in. That's just
Yeah.
the done thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'd love to like that whole body thing of like, I don't know, just when somebody says it out loud, you kind of go, oh, yeah, actually, you're right. Because I love like going to the gym and exercise and all that, but at the same time, like I went to the gym yesterday, had a great day, went for a run, had a great day.
Yeah.
Half one this morning, bag of Watsits, watching Breaking Bad. Like, you know, what's the point?
It's the best of both worlds, there, though, isn't it? But then I suppose, like when you're on tour for such a long period of time, routines up the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrendous,
Yeah.
yeah. And then whenever you do different time zones,
Yeah.
and your
Oh,
body
goodness,
doesn't
yeah.
know if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really tough actually, but fair play to the people that do it well. Hopefully one day I did one tour successfully that I thought, like I didn't drink the whole tour because I was on tour with, so it was my headline run, but I was with, you know, Ro from Derry,
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
her and Connor Scott. So they came to open up, but both of them, Connor couldn't drive at the time and he was also too young to drive. Like, the way insurance is, you have to be over 25.
yeah.
And Ro was 19. So I was like, okay, well, this is my tour, but I feel like I'm the dad driving everybody around.
Goodness me.
But it sort of made sure that I didn't drink. I come off that tour going, God, I could have done 2 more weeks. Like, felt really healthy.
And ran 2 marathons.
Yeah, I was like feeling really good. And then the next tour was the bloody margarita tour. So, and that's the problem. There's a pro and a con with like a tour bus. Tour buses are unreal,
Yeah.
but you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, I may as well drink because my bed is there, you know.
Everything's just within
Yeah.
2 steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was too easy.
And like now that you're getting like you've got East Belfast GA and stuff,
Yeah.
like you're starting to bring sports back. So then whenever you're
Yeah.
gonna have to go away from that again, that's probably gonna be hard because like sports was such a big part of your life, and then
Yeah,
it just went to nothing.
yeah. The good thing about that sort of like playing for East Belfast is like, they can kind of hold me accountable because if I come back and I'm a mess, they'll just drop me. You know,
Yeah.
and I can't deal with that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm quite competitive, so the thought of being dropped would be enough to spur me on to keep
To keep
exercising.
going, yeah.
But yeah, it's a pre-season now, so loads of running, loads of sprinting, and just Christmas was just smoking and drinking. You know,
Yeah.
for December. You know,
Ah.
1st of December is Christmas, and you're just like, yeah, we'll go for a pint. Smoking. First training back, I was just like,
Dying.
And when you
Absolutely
do go
dying.
back home for Christmas, is it still just the same? Like nothing's changed, kind of in Portaferry, seeing people.
pretty
Same,
much, yeah.
yeah.
Although they're starting to do a bit of work on the town, which is class, because it is such a beautiful place, and you know,
I've never been, you know.
right?
Like, there, I mean,
You've never been to the
Do you know where it
Explorers?
is?
no, I actually don't know.
No, I didn't even know where it was.
I'm shocked, and I know Mackerfelt, where I'm from,
Right.
Belfast, and where the airport is. They're pretty much like that's kind of my radius when I come
Yeah.
home. So whenever you're like Portaferry, I'm like, Where's that? Like, I have no idea. It's near Belfast.
It's about an hour away, but
Oh, right,
I always
so
tell
not really.
people it's basically, if you look at the map of Ireland, if you look northeast, you'll see a penis. Portaferry's on the tip.
The tip.
Oh, right, okay.
You'll never forget it now.
Oh, I must go sometime. Take a wee road trip up to Portaferry.
So
believe you've
where
never
we
been to the
are,
Explorers.
like
No.
where my house is,
Yeah.
that's like the bottom of the penis, and then you drive down the
Oh,
tip
so you
of
live
Portaferry.
near?
Yeah, like you drive down the peninsula
Oh,
down the
okay.
bottom to Portaferry.
Oh.
I thought that everybody went there for like the Explorers.
Yeah,
What's
that
the
was
Explorers?
that was
The
school
aquarium.
trip. Like that
Like
was
every
P4
school,
school
yeah.
trip. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think we would have ventured that far. We came to W5, is that what it's called?
That was a big day out for the Macrofelt ones.
We didn't get out much. Like,
No.
I'm surprised I made it out.
I can remember this is just completely off topic, but we were playing a hurling match against a team from Belfast called Rossa, and Portaferry's obviously rural. And in the middle of the match, he went, "Holy fuck, there's a cow." He'd never seen a real life cow, you know.
Oh, shush. Oh, no way. Oh, here. That's so funny. But like Northern Ireland is a real thing about that. Like anyone who's not from Belfast is a culture. Mm-hmm. Like my whole life I was a culture and I'm not really from the country. Not really.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Oh. See, that's because you're all from up here. But like everyone was the
No,
same.
but like you lived in the town.
Yeah, so not the
Yeah,
country.
so
Like
not the
I had
country.
signal and all. Like
Signal.
you know.
Like I lived in a field.
Yeah, well,
Pretty much
friggin'
fine.
hell, where you lived. Ask her where she's from.
Where are you from?
Like,
Oh, so like Dramara
Oh,
originally,
yeah.
and then we moved out to like Hillsborough, and then now we're living in Ard.
oh, that was a lot smoother. than
Yeah,
last
we haven't
time.
really stayed anywhere for like longer than 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, so we've moved about a bit.
We used to go to Ards for the cinema because we weren't allowed to go to Belfast because it was too far.
Goodness me.
For Frig's sake.
We didn't even have a cinema.
We had to go there, and there was a KFC and a McDonald's, and we used to go get a McDonald's to watch the movie, and then come out and get a KFC for the drive home.
Oh, lovely.
Right.
Yeah. Goodness me.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
So in terms of touring, then do you prefer being this like the support, or do you prefer it being like your own tour?
I think it's kind of a bit of, it depends what you're after. Support tours on the big tours is class.
I bet. Yeah.
It's actually class in general because you play for 20 minutes, but you don't like it. It's kind of hard because nobody's there for you.
Yeah.
So like I figured that out on that Lark and Poe tour, you know, that because I hadn't done a support tour in so long, I kind of realized, oh, nobody knows my songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, but I'm going to ram it down the throats, you know, they're going to
Yeah.
love me by the end of
it.
this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't sticking, and then it was only the last 3 shows where I started playing like a cover.
People
And
are
then
mad for it.
people got way more into me because at least I played a song
Something
they
they
knew.
knew. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I forgot that you sort of should do that. But there's nothing beats, you know, playing your own songs and people singing it back.
I bet.
Like
yeah.
the headline shows are always much better, but there's just more responsibility with them, which
Yeah.
is a good thing. It's a great thing, but you know, a support tour on an arena tour is class because you've nothing to lose and sort of everything to gain.
Again, yeah.
But on the smaller sort of gigs, it's tough. Like
Yeah.
I'd hate to go back to that. Like
Yeah.
Do you feel like pressure before a gig?
nah,
No.
like it's just singing songs. Like
yeah.
that was the first gig. Sorry, excuse me. The first gig I had done, it was supporting Foy. It was in Nashville, and I was about to go on. He was like, "You nervous?" And I was like, "A wee bit. I've never sort of done this." He's like, "Well, just remember, it's not brain surgery. You're just singing songs, and if you make a mistake, just do something else that'll make people forget about the mistake." And I was like, "You just simplified this.
Yeah.
Like it just
Aye.
completely fixed my
Yeah.
head. Like just made it right." So I went out and did the gig, and since then I've never been nervous or stuff like that because it is just singing songs, and you know, if people don't want to come back to the show, that's on me, and that's sort of what you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like performance based in a sense of like
Yeah.
if you don't put it in, you'll not get it out. So, but performing to me is just my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although lately it's kind of been a bit different, but the majority of the time, like, you don't think about your bills or like the fights that you were
Just
having.
get away from it. Yeah.
You just have to completely zone in. Kind of like going to
Exactly,
the gym,
yeah.
playing sports. It's exactly the same. You just have to focus, and that kind of just changes your entire mood.
Yeah.
Like you can go on stage feeling like crap and come out in the same way of exercise. You come
Yeah.
out and you're just like,
Buzzed.
what was I even annoyed about?
Yeah.
I totally know what you mean. Like the amount of times I've gone into a game and there's like 101 things going on in my life. You just switch off and you just focus, give me the ball,
Yeah.
score a goal, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
After,
Yeah.
like, it's probably exactly the same for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just completely different perspective. You come off going, but that's not a problem. That's solvable. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like that's done. Whereas before you're like, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah. They are quite similar in a lot of ways, like when you think. Like,
Yeah.
so for us, we went from like 40 people watching us, and then we sold out Windsor Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like overnight, we just had to kind of like sort of deal with that.
Yeah.
And then like everything else that kind of just comes with it, like you're on TV and like no one teaches you
Yeah.
how to prepare for that sort of stuff, and it's kind of just like, okay, like people sort of know who you are now, sort of thing.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that?
I hate all of that. Like,
Yeah.
I like to just not, like, it's really nice that people recognize me, and it's cool for
Yeah.
whenever it's nice, but like there's other times where you're just like you could just be in really bad form
Yeah.
for something small. It doesn't even matter what it could be, or you could just be just having a bad day, and then somebody talks to you and you have to pretend that you're
Yeah.
totally fine, everything's
Yeah.
good, and it's a pleasure to meet you, where in your head you're going, fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
I know
can't
that's-
be bothered.
I
Yeah.
know that
no.
sounds terrible, but
Or
you just get days
you
like
could
that.
just
you know?
sing that to them because
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of your songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's that and social media. They're two things that I hate
Yeah.
so much. Like I hate social. I just want to like perform and write. So like,
Yeah.
when did this all become in that you have
It's
to be
part
an
of it now.
influencer and you have to do this? And
Yeah.
you have to. Why? I don't want to influence people. I just want to sing songs.
yeah.
It's just the way the world's going now that
Yeah.
everything's like
hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything, like people live their lives through Instagram and what it looks like. And
Have you? This is just random, but do you know? Have you been following this guy? His name's Paul Breach.
No.
oh, I've heard it. I think I've heard of him on TikTok.
He's a TikTok guy.
Yes.
I am obsessed with just how mental it is.
It's
I can't
absolutely
take
mental.
my head out of it. I'm just like, this guy had like hundreds of thousands of followers, and it's just weird, like
Very weird.
like strange
Okay. Yeah.
and like a wee bit groomy, you know.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Like,
aye.
it's all mental, but I just went down a rabbit hole just watching him doing these weird dances and then just like having a spasm in the middle of it. You're just
Yeah.
like, what are you? Like,
No. Yeah, TikTok's a very weird place. It'll take you like anywhere.
yeah, and then you spend like 4 seconds on him, and then that's your feed. It's now just him.
Well, this
He
it because
keeps
it picks
popping
up,
up.
doesn't
Yeah.
it? Aye. No, I think my TikTok, the
Yeah.
algorithm is like on him a little bit at the minute.
yeah.
I'm not on it, and
No, here.
I'm resisting really hard because I know
Once
I will
you get
just
in,
not
you're in.
stop. Yeah.
That's it. See, like at night before I go to bed, I'll go on TikTok, and then like 2 hours later, you'll still be on, and I'm
Yeah.
like, this
Where
is
did that
so
go?
bad. Exactly,
Yeah.
it's so bad for you.
Yeah. It's class though in certain ways, like the amount of amazing singers that you find. And then, sorry, I guess they use that as their platform, but I would hate to be somebody who was famous for nothing.
Yes,
Like that
I
guy-
know.
that
with
guy.
Yes,
the
like him.
talent.
Yeah. Yeah,
Jesus Christ. That would just be,
yeah,
imagine having to deal with that all day, but not actually have like
Any-
a reason for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. There's so many people now that seek that though.
Yeah.
Like they just want to be famous for the sake of being famous.
Jesus, do it for 5 minutes, you'll run.
I know, honestly, like, you know, like there are pros and cons to it. So like for us in our game, social media has been amazing because
Yeah.
we didn't have the platform, so we use that as our platform. So there are pros and cons, but
Yeah.
like you say, it's like, it's kind of turning into like you have to use it, you have to
Yeah.
do this and do that and have to post about the games. It's like, well, I just want to kind of play football, or
Yeah.
I just want to do this and want to do that. So
Yeah, we would go into like meetings, and their main their main concern was, how's your socials? Not like,
anything else?
have you any new songs to play? Didn't care about what the work was, just wanted to know what your socials was like. You're like, that's surely the wrong way to look at this. You're a music business.
Yeah,
Why are you talking about socials? Well, that's just the way it is.
that is, yeah.
But you kind of go, right, but I know people with like 10 million views on like one of their videos that they're singing, but it didn't make any money off it. They don't have any prospects, but they've got a 10 million view video.
Yeah.
So what?
So what's the point?
you could literally go and sing songs in the bar and make more money than you did with them.
Nah.
You know, it's just, I don't know.
I know, and I'm
hate
sure
it
you
all.
probably wanted to like fight it and try and be different and try and you
Yeah.
know be like, I don't have to do it this way, but you just have to bow down to
You
it
have to bow down
eventually
to it
and
now,
just
yeah.
succumb to
But-
the reality.
Yeah, I kind of like the people that do it right. You know, like, no, I'm a musician. I'm not here to tell you what I ate for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a video of me singing.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is what I do.
This
and
is what
I'll-
I'm here to do. Yeah. No.
Oh, but you have to engage. No, I don't. Come to the gig. We'll engage all you want.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. That there's a time and a place for it, not on Instagram or
Yeah,
wherever.
yeah. Yeah, I'll stop ranting on it because
You'd be here all day.
I'd be here all day,
Yeah. No,
and
no.
I'm so bad at it too. Maybe that's why I hate it, because I'm shit at it.
Yeah. And then people are constantly telling you to do it, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just update people. Why?
Yeah.
I'd hate to know what you were doing every day, all day. Like,
Wow.
I would just be like, okay, well, now I have nothing to really talk to you about.
Well, this is it when you actually like meet
Yeah.
up again. No, no. But it's just the way of the world now,
Yeah.
like, isn't it? So, suppose we could probably close up. So a thing that we're doing with like all of our guests is sort of asking them like, and this can be as serious or as lighthearted as you want, but like, if you were to say something to yourself when you were a kid that you wish you knew then, what would it be?
Oh. Fuck. I don't really know. I kind of hate the idea of living with like regret, but just maybe stick at it. Don't just give up because you're allowed to drink now. You know? Like, I think one thing that I really, it's not a regret, but if I could do it again, I would have stuck at playing sports. I would have done a bit of rehab. I would have, because it's only now that I'm playing again, I'm like, God, you only get a few years of it, like, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe also like, you know, just learn music theory. That will really help you. You know, that
Well,
would
I
have been
think
good.
you've done pretty well, like,
Yeah.
you know,
I know.
without it.
No, it would be nice to know it though. It's one of them things of like, it would just be such a fundamental place to sort of start every day with like,
Yeah.
well, at least I know where I'm going. Whereas I'm just like, no. Oh, there we go.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be the two things.
Awesome.
Suppose. Do you have any of them? Do you ever, like, if you could go back and tell yourself,
I actually did one of this. This
You
is where I
answered
actually got the
this
idea from.
question
So
before?
before we went to the Euros in the summer, UEFA asked me to write a letter, like physically write a letter to myself if I were like 10 years old
Right.
that I would want to read. And I was like, what the hell, like, am I going to say? Like, I don't know. And it was just kind of like, I suppose for me, I suppose really different, but like I was chasing a dream when I was a kid that didn't exist. So it was
Oh,
kind
right
of
enough.
like, because being a professional, like,
Professional.
it just wasn't possible. So it was kind of like, if I were to tell myself then, it's like, just believe in it and back yourself. Just like put everything in, whatever it is. Doesn't have to be football. Like if I was to tell anybody else to do anything, it's like put everything into whatever it is you want to do. And then if you make it, great. But if you don't, at least you know you've given everything. And I think that's just a solid piece of advice that I would give to anyone, sort of thing. So that's kind of like the way I went on that narrative.
yeah,
And I just thought it was like kind of a cool way to think. Like it would have been nice if I was young and I had somebody to tell me that sort of thing, because I had no female role models and things
Yeah.
like that because it didn't exist. So I just kind of made it up as I went along, and luckily it just worked out.
became one.
You know, it's just one of them things. So it's where I kind of got the little idea of, oh, I wonder what the guests would sort of
Yeah.
say. What about you? What would you say?
I think I would probably say that, like, just when it comes to, everybody talks about you have to have goals and you have to have like this point that you're always striving towards, but like that doesn't really like matter.
No, not
It's
really.
gonna change so much
Daily.
you know, daily. Yeah, what you thought you were aiming towards, and yeah, everybody thinks that you have to kind of have this big thing that you're striving towards, and every day is aim towards that. And that you don't, not that you just kind of drift through life, you know, sort of aimlessly,
Yeah.
but that you're just willing to adapt, and you don't always have to be driven by this one single thing, you know.
Yeah.
And that your life will be so much broader because of that, you know, if you
Yeah.
take your focus off of that, and you're able to open yourself up to so many other things and so many other people and relationships, and you know, if you're so closed off to just this one thing, then you will miss, you know, so much
That's it.
of what else is around you.
Well, that's it. Life's not scripted, is it? I mean,
No.
it's like this podcast. We just started talking and sure, look, it's great.
Had a good time slagging off social media.
And now Ryan's going to be so inspired that he's going to write his whole new album on this podcast. No,
It's going to be
Bred.
called Born and Bred. There's got to be a song called Born and Bred.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Ryan, honestly, thank you so much for jumping on the
thanks for having me.
podcast. It's been a pleasure. and-
Yeah, thanks for this is the kick up the ass that I needed. So thanks for inviting me along.
Oh,
Yeah, and honestly, like, we can't wait to sort of see what's next for you.
Yeah, 'cause
and,
Simone has tried how many times to see you in
like,
concert?
honestly, like,
It's something always comes up and it
it's
doesn't
just
work.
like, I was like, I'm just not meant to ever see Ryan sing live, ever. Like, just any time, like, I can't get home for it, or like, just something happens, you know?
Maybe that's a good thing. Like living the mystery of it, because as soon as you see it, you'll go, oh fuck, right?
So, like, it's like just one of my like many ambitions in life. This will happen,
Right.
where I'll actually get to see you
Yeah.
sing live. So, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear it.
Well, when I'm on tour, you'll see when I'm going on tour, and just let me know.
That's it. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, can't wait. But no, in all seriousness, we wish you all the best. and
Cheers.
Thank
You
you
too.
for
That's great.
coming on, and yeah, all the best for 2023.
Cheers.
Perfect. Thank you. To sign up to our Patreon, visit the link in our bios on our social media pages.